Welcome, you 7,000 amazing subscribers, to a new series here on infosec live of My Cyber Pathway. Whether you're watching live or in the replay, a massive welcome and an even bigger thank you for giving up your time to engage with our content. As always, we're streaming live with the chance for our audience to ask us anything throughout, with the focus of our new series being to share the stories of some of the amazing infosec live community members, and we are kicking it off with a bang. But before we begin, for those that are new to the channel, my name's Simon Lindstead. I'm the founder of the infosec live community, and by sharing stories and best practice over the last few months, it's led to nearly 100,000 views of our content on YouTube by you, our amazing subscribers. And I'm very excited to announce that we have a brand new channel sponsor in Rapid7. Rapid7 and our organization have great synergy, and we're excited to see how we can serve the wider security community in 2023 and beyond. I've got a little code here, not sure if it'll work. Let's try it. There we go. Look at that. Code's there. The link goes straight through to their website, to their fundamentals section, which has some amazing free resources on, to name but a few: cloud security, vulnerability risk management, application security, detection and response, and so much more. So watch this space for new events and more details coming soon. Before that, though, a special shout out to our existing channel members. Thank you for your support. And of course, if someone scanned, it tells me on the screen as well. How exciting. Thank you for your squirrel, Simon getting distracted when he's trying to do the intro. Not going to do that again. Whether you join or not, being here and engaging with our content is what really matters. If you want to support the community, there is a join button with 3 levels of membership, but that's not what's important. What's important is you being here and engaging. So time for the show. Before I bring on our guest, I want to just tell you why we've chosen him as the first guest for this series. Since joining the community only a few weeks back now, he's been a constant source of encouragement and support to everyone within the community, and his personal drive and, let's be honest, amazing mindset have made him shine as an example of what being a part of a community really means. So, bit of buttons to press here because I've got to get rid of the QR code, but let's bring him on. It's Joe Wells. Can't find the other button. There we go. Boom. Here he is.
Oh, I was just scanning the QR code twice.
It's the first time I've ever done that. And the fact that it comes up in a big box on my screen saying someone scanned the QR code, probably should have tested that first, really.
Well, it worked now. I'm happy to part of that scheme, 100%.
Love it. Let's turn the chat back on. You've disappeared for now, but all the chat will start flowing through. I suppose before we begin, massive turnout for you today, Joe. So a massive thanks to everyone who's in the audience. I think it goes to show what an impact you've made in a very short time in our community. And I want to dig in today about your journey to the industry and also what it is that drives you to be such a great guy and give back all the time. So let's start off with me shutting up for a few minutes and you giving our audience a bit of a backstory on Joe and where he comes from.
Wow, yeah. I'm so pleased that everyone's turned up to come and hear us today. A bit about my background. Come from very, very humble beginnings. Grew up in a council estate. We have a saying in England. It's my first and only swear word for this thing. You don't have a pot to piss in. That's what you can summarize that as. We didn't have anything. No role models growing up. Like lots of danger. It wasn't a fun time growing up. But
where were you brought up, Joe? Was it
Gravesend? So near London. That's why I've got an interesting accent.
I know Gravesend. Yeah,
Gravesend.
I stayed in a very similar place when I came back from the Canary Islands in my 20s, Grays in Essex, which is equally grey.
So that was interesting, living quite near London as a kid, and I ended up moving schools, moving homes. I lived with my other family for a short time, then a long time. I ended up missing quite a lot of school as well. So that's a reason for my lack of education. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I can feel you on that. It was all going okay for me until high school, and for the last couple of, I left school with absolutely zero anything. I think I got some U's, which is ungraded for not turning up at exams, and like you, realised later on in life that maybe that was a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, hindsight. Wow, if everyone just had hindsight and in the real time, the world would be a better place.
Yeah.
No, I think I left high school, 5 GCSEs, 1 for art, 1 an A in citizenship, 2 science, and I never picked them up if I'm being frank. Left them there.
So what happened next?
What happened next? So a part of my interest in upbringing was there was a lot of mental health illness in my house. My mother ended up getting sectioned, and we lost the house. So I had nowhere to live, so I was on the streets. And that was an interesting time. This was 2008, so you just had the biggest credit crunch in history. Recession. So recession in history, and so I was on the streets for 11, 12 months.
Did you have siblings? Did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, so I've got an identical twin. So I've got an identical twin. He was okay. He had again, unfortunately, he suffers from mental health issues. So the state put him in. He's bought him in his own flat basically. And my little brother, he ended up he's in prison. To be frankly honest, yeah,
It's tough.
but that's life, though, isn't it?
It is life, and I've got friends in jail at the moment who've taken wrong paths, and I've also got friends who've spent time in jail and turned their lives around afterwards and become what I would say are model citizens. And it's how you deal with that, isn't it? And I think the one thing I've seen with you since you've joined the community is that positive mindset that you bring to everything. And we all know we don't feel like that every day, right?
Yeah.
We have shit days, we have good days, but I'm not saying fake it till you make it, because I hate that expression. I think it's completely wrong. But what I am saying is be careful what you project and what you put out there, because that comes back to you, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%. Trust me when I say this, in all sincerity, I've never been known for the positive guy. I've had so much hassle I've had to deal with in life, and I've been the lowest of the lows you can imagine. Like, there's been days where I didn't think I'd make it out alive, but you just have to embrace that and realize that, yeah, that's how you're feeling now, but always have hope for the future, and that's what's kept me alive throughout all this.
Was there a person, or was there? I mean, for me, my turning point was I nearly died twice in the space of like 6 weeks, and it made me realize the track that my life was going down at the time, which wasn't a great one. And I had, I suppose, a few people in my life who stepped in and tried to help at that point, but I was too much of a dick to accept that help and kind of push them away. And it took for me to break, pretty honest with you. You know, I broke, and it took that for me to decide, well, I either stay broken or I pick myself up off the floor and try and do something about it. What happened with you? What was that catalyst for change, or was there one?
Evidently there was, because I'm still here today, and I'm thankful for that. I feel the catalyst for my changes, it sounds really corny, like films and motivation and having the mindset. Whatever you're having, whatever day you're having, someone out there is having a worse day, guaranteed. There's only one person that wins it every day, and that's probably not going to be you, that have the worst day. So it's just putting and you see and learn from people that have like triumphed in the past, because there's a lot of people there that are humble and they don't necessarily say it.
Yeah.
So keep them positive mind and mindset, and just surrounding yourself with the best people you can.
I think it goes back to, I spent a bit of time on the streets in the past as well, and the people you're hanging around with there aren't necessarily the kind of people who are going to lift you up and support you moving forward. And I think all of this goes back to a realization I had, that whatever goes in here, you know, if you're embracing that positivity, you're watching videos, whether it's self-help or you're reading books, you're engaging with people who've got a positive mindset, that starts to rub off. Yeah. And my grandmother's saying, I've said this on virtually every live stream, is
I know it.
Yeah, please. And it works the other way as well, doesn't it? If you surround yourself with the people who you look up to and want to become, it starts to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think we can see that with you, you know, right now.
The past year of my life has been one of the biggest changes I've ever had, just because the amount of people, positive people and intelligent people I've been around with. Like, my superpower is like, it's not resilience or anything like that. It's finding brilliant people that I can look up to for examples. If I got a hacking question, I've got a pen tester friend I can ring right now.
Yeah.
I've got an amazing forensics friend I can ring right now. Like, I never had that in the past, but now I do. And
you know, I'm just going to stop you there, because you're being really humble, which is lovely. But equally, it's you who picks up that phone, and it's you who's driven those relationships. So you've put yourself in that position, Joe, and I think it's important for you to recognize and take some credit for that, because we all have the opportunity to go out there and do these things. And we also have the opportunity to sit there and feel sorry for ourselves. And it's clear that you're not doing that and you're doing everything right.
It doesn't work. No matter what you're saying, oh, you plan for the future. If you don't start with a positive mindset, nothing's going to change. You could win the lottery and you'll still be miserable.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I was
money won't change.
I was a very wealthy man, and when I was very wealthy, I was probably the most miserable I've ever been in my life, because it isn't material things that make you happy. Don't get me wrong, cars are nice, things are nice, but if this isn't right and you're not grateful for the little things that you've got and grateful for being present and mindful of everything every day, then you're never going to be happy, I don't think.
100%.
So going back then to, you were homeless for a bit. Talk to me about when you started work, what you did.
So when you're homeless and that time that you don't have options, you just survive. So I took retail jobs. I hated that side of retail. You're just a number, no one cares about you. Stack the shelf, do this. But I found a company called F. Hines, a jewelers company in the UK, and I worked for them, and I actually learned about selling. So I was never like, I had a core group of friends, but I could never speak to everyone. But now I can, because that's what sales teaches you. To go out there and make yourself uncomfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what you have to do. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You take the rejections, you take the praise. You meet so many people. You see the patterns in people, that they're actually, the world is full of decent people.
Yeah.
And some people might just be having a bad day. And that's the thing. That's how I learned my love for people, because some throughout my life, my journey, people have helped me. They fed me when I had no money for food. Like, work colleagues bought bags of food for me, and I'd eaten in days. I didn't tell anyone, but they kind of guessed.
Yeah.
And I'm forever thankful for the opportunities that I got from sales, because I learned my passion for people, and I learned to trust people again.
That's the hardest bit, right?
100%.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. And I think the sooner you embrace the fact that all we see on the news is bad shit every day, but in reality, there's an awful lot of amazing people out there who are happy to help. And I think you've picked an industry like no other for that as well. I mean, I've never known anything like it, with the amount of people, especially in leadership positions, who are prepared to spend time. I mean, we see it in the community all the time. People like Justin, who's in the chat, Dr. Mike Brass, and many others. What did you do after the retail, Joe?
Just different sales jobs. I found myself limited by like retail and sales, because I've always want to help people, and that's the thing with me, and always feel good, because the best gift you can have is the gift of giving. Like, this is why Christmas is successful and like holidays successful, because you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about others.
Yeah.
So I've done, throughout my childhood, I've done jobs. I've done a building site. So I ended up teaching construction in a college, and then that's why I learned my love for like helping people, teaching them, really. Because sales, you kind of teach people, you advise and say, okay, this is good about this is the features, this is the benefits of this. But when you're physically down in the mud with someone, showing, okay, this is how you level a brick, and they improve in front of you, that's one of the best gifts of them all.
I completely agree. So come on, tell me, how come cyber? How did this happen?
I've always been interested in tech, and I never thought that I could do it. If I'm not homeless, no money, no education, I'm not one of these smart people that can hack into computers, build programs. I never had the confidence in myself, so I always put it on the back burner. And then an opportunity came up when I moved to Wales, after I engaged my partner, who's the best thing that's ever happened to me, to be frankly honest. I could do a half an hour talk about her. I really could.
Well, let's focus on that for a bit, because if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be alive today.
Yeah.
And I think maybe your partner's the same, but my wife's never on LinkedIn. She's got no interest in having any kind of social media presence, and she's really the unsung hero behind everything that I've managed to achieve the last couple of years. Is it the same for you then? Is she the driving force behind Joe, is what I'm asking?
100%. I mean, I think you've done a post on LinkedIn a month ago about gratefulness, and Carlos said about his wife, and I said about my fiance. Yeah, I wouldn't be here without her. That's 100%. Like, so I'm a full-time student at the moment, not earning any money. She's working hard. She's a manager in a retail store. She's paying all the way. She's invested in me.
Do you know,
She's working.
three years ago, I was in exactly the same position. My wife had gone from being the office manager for my business, effectively, which is how we met, to us being bankrupt and eating out of food banks. And I was a mess. I've been drinking too much. I was sat in a corner going wibble with pants on my head and pencils up my nose. And she stepped up to the plate and went from being kind of a business leader to working in Boots List at the weekend, whilst looking after the three youngest children full time as well. And
you, and looking after you as well.
And me, more importantly. Yeah, I mean, I take my hat off to her for that, because I wouldn't have had the time, one, to learn anything about cybersecurity, and two, definitely wouldn't have set the community up, which is how we've met and how all this has come about. So yeah, massive appreciation to those unsung partners out there. What's your partner's name, Joe?
Rachel.
Rachel, you're epic.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, she is. No, she is. It's something like, it puts you in a situation where you can never repay them, and you can never, what they do for you, you don't ever feel you can give back, no matter what you do. I don't know if you feel the same. It's like
I do, and I just think what she says to me is just carry on being the best person that you can be, and then everyone's happy, aren't they? And I think that goes back to your point about when you realized how amazing it makes you feel helping other people. I've never been poorer the last 3 years, but I've never been happier. I did some work in a charity shop, or a thrift store for those watching in the US, where I was hanging around with octogenarians and steaming clothes all day. But I also got to speak to people recently bereaved. I mean, myself, I've cleared my mum's house out recently and had to sort of do the box run to the charity shop, and it's tough. And being able to be there for people and give them the opportunity to share their pain with a random stranger, I think sometimes they're the best ways to help people, because some people don't get that chance to speak to others. And I'm sure you're the same. I can imagine you doing that regularly, Joe.
Yeah, so I used to volunteer for a homeless charity in Bristol when I moved to Bristol, called Caring in Bristol. I don't know what frustrates me about being homeless. And homeless, I know it's a rant, but not everyone's homeless for bad reasons or faults of their own, and they just get stigmatized. Oh, this is a drug.
You get tarred with the crackhead brush, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So being around, and it is humbling, and it's so easy to look on people and say, okay, you made this bad decision, you made this bad decision. Isn't it so easy to be positive when things are going well?
Yeah, it is. Do you know the mistake I made was helping the wrong people for a long time? I don't know if you've been there with that yourself.
I think if you want to help people, it's easy to get taken advantage of, because you may not think that they'll be in that mind frame because you don't think about that at all. I've been burnt once in my life. I've done my best to not get burnt again and not get it affect me, but it is what it is.
No, it is. Okay, so we're in Wales.
Yep.
Your partner's working in retail.
Yep.
And talk to me about what happened next and how you got involved in cyber.
So COVID's happening. There's no work anywhere. I found a brilliant government organisation to fund me for my web development course. So I'm doing a diploma in web development. And then it started to click that actually I'm not actually that stupid. I'm really not that stupid, and I'm learning this so well. I'm picking up I'm picking so much. I'm giving it all my best. And then I thought, I'll look into cybersecurity, because I'm not learning anything with web dev with cybersecurity. So then I thought, you know what? I'll risk it. I'll apply for university. I'll give it a shot. They declined me. Okay, fair enough. It happens. They put me on a referral list. So you go on a thing below the university. But I turned up to the open day, and I just do what I always do. I just ask loads of questions. They can sense my passion, and they gave me a chance, and they put me on the full course right then and there. They put me on the full course.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And from what I've seen of your posts on LinkedIn, it definitely isn't like the Open University cybersecurity course that I registered on.
No. University is not for everyone. Ideally, in the ideal world, I love to do like an apprenticeship, because I'm a very hands-on learning type of person. Yeah. There was struggles. I struggled originally in university. I didn't do well at all. I passed. I got like 65s, Then I started getting better and getting better. My last coding one, I got a 92 out of 100.
Wow.
In my coding one, yeah.
I don't think I've ever got that in any test I've done.
I don't test well at all.
I'm happy if I scrape through normally, Joe. Be perfectly honest with you. But let's address a couple of questions because we've had some in. I'm getting in a muddle with all these captions because this layout's changed on here, but we'll do our best. Julia, who I think might be something to do with your university course, if I've done my research correctly. I might not be right there. What cyber job do you want in the future?
So, like, I've got dyslexia, right? But I've also got a bit of ADHD in me. My identical twin is official diagnosis for ADHD.
Yeah.
So I jump around a lot. Everyone tells me I should go into like consulting because I can help people and pick up things like that. I want to like maybe either pen testing or consulting help. I just want to help businesses. Like I don't care. I'm not the fastest hacker in the world. I'll never be Neo. I'll never be anyone like that. But I care about businesses and I care about people. So I want to be in a situation where I can help as many people as I can. And I'm using cybersecurity as a tool. That's not my goal. I'm using it as a tool to help people. So anything with like that kind of role, I'd just love to do.
So I think from everything you've seen in our community, probably since you've joined, coming in as a pen tester, as I found out, is very, very difficult. Have you thought about ways that you can enter the industry after your course is finished? Have you got any plans for that?
I don't want to sound arrogant here, and I think if I want to be a pen tester, my first job in cybersecurity, I can probably get a pen tester job first job in cybersecurity.
Of that, I've got to say, Joe, I completely agree with you. Yeah.
I'm meeting amazing people. I'm making great connections. I go to events and like I went to an event with no friends. I've left with like 2 friends that can help me forever, and I'm gonna help them forever. I turn up with knowing no one, and I make friends, and I've got building connections. How can I not succeed? That's how in my head I work. How can I not do it?
Like so would that be your preferred first role then, a pen tester, do you think, or are you still changing your mind as time goes on?
So yeah, I think the end goal would be like consultancy role, but I think there's a big ego problem in cybersecurity. Everyone thinks they're the best. Because there's so much to know. So I wouldn't mind doing any entry level cyber job to learn more, because once I get my foot in the door, I can learn and I can grow with the company. So that would be my ultimate goal. If I can't get,
I think the consultancy piece. I met a guy. There's a guy on LinkedIn called Gary Hibbert. I don't know if you follow any of his posts. He's got a consultancy firm called Consultants Like Us. They've just taken on, I suppose you'd call him a trainee consultant who has 0 industry background, but what he has got is people skills and a bit of business savvy. And I think your skill set suits that consultancy piece so much. And I think, my opinion, not an expert industry one, you could bring a lot more value and help a lot more people in a consultancy role than you could sitting behind a keyboard running pen tests.
I really want a customer facing role or some interaction. I love people. I love being around people. I'm like a psychic vampire.
And I think my mistake was I got carried away with the glamour of being a red teamer. I mean, in reality, you're never going to get a junior red teamer position anyway. But my skill set, you're obviously better with the tech than I am, especially with the amazing Python course that I see you building in the community at the moment. But you need to play to your strengths and do what you enjoy. And all I'm hearing from you during this chat is people. And I think if Joe was to be wheeled behind a laptop and sat there doing 50% of his time breaking into stuff and 50% of the time writing it up in reports, I reckon you'd be bored senseless after 6 months.
No, I agree. I love people, and I love to learn from people. And like you mentioned, like the business side of things, I've been secretly starting my business for a while. I entered into a startup scheme, one of the biggest ones in the UK, called Plexel Runway, and I was chosen. I got official like 2 weeks ago. I was chosen. So I'm being invited to London next week for 4 days to learn about how to do a cybersecurity business, networking, because I'm hoping to bring that skills in with me as I grow in life. And
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I can relate to businesses better once I have that. Once I've done it myself, that's how I think anyway.
I completely agree, and I think you'll be self-employed before you know it, Joe. Let's be honest. I think you've got that entrepreneurial spirit kicking around in there. And do you know what? The most successful entrepreneurs I know are the ones who've either had absolutely nothing and built themselves up. They're the ones who have got the drive and the determination, I think, to keep going when times get tough. And starting any business, I've started about 6, I think, in the last 30 years. And every single one of them, the first 2 years is absolute hell,
Yeah.
but it's also the hell that I really enjoy. And the danger I find is that once you've made a success of the business, which is what happened to me before, and you've achieved everything that you want, I then get bored. It's that ADHD that kicks in, or Simon's mindset where, well, I'm bored of that now. What do I do now? And I think the lesson I've learned is to never put myself in that position again. So if I focus my time on helping other people like you are, there's always people to help, which means you should never get that bored part.
100%. So I'm also
Here we
like,
are.
I'm starting mine. There's a Wales is fantastic. Not many people know this, but it's actually one of the leaders of cybersecurity in the world. Everyone thinks rain is sheep, and there's a fantastic organisation called Cyber Wales, based in South Wales and across the whole Wales. And I'm starting to build a cluster to help students, university students, apprenticeships, people working from home, people doing T levels, people doing A levels that can come and connect and network and develop the soft skills. So I'm very busy at the moment, but that's my way I can permanently give back by building this like mini community for them to help them grow.
I've got some exciting news on that then. So I reckon we can collaborate. So you know that we've been doing in-person events in the UK and the US. The focus for these events has been leadership, and the focus for the leadership has been for one reason. That's what the companies who are going to sponsor these events, they're the ones that they want, bums on seats. However, the next event in Tampa on August the 31st, we're doing it differently, and I haven't announced this yet. It's coming out next week, but it's relevant to what we're talking about. It's still going to be a CISO leadership focused event, but we're also going to invite along the same amount of people who are looking to break in or have just broken into the industry, to encourage them to share their frustrations, their successes with the leadership, so that people can start to learn from each other. So maybe we could do something similar in Wales, where you bring along the new people and I bring along the leadership. What do you reckon?
To Wales, come on, we love it. We love to see you. 100%.
Whereabouts in Wales are you?
I'm in the valley, so I'm in half an hour, 45 minutes from Cardiff.
Upwards.
Yeah, in, like, you know, Brecon Beacons, or they changed its name. I'm not going to say it because I will absolutely murder that pronunciation. But they recently changed the name of the Brecon Beacons. I live about 20 minutes from there.
Please tell me the name now.
Brian. Oh, I can't. They'd kill me. They'd be at my door murdering me. They really will.
We'll stick with that. Justin's comment: his empathy and communication skills are his superpowers. Completely agree.
Justin. No, I've got a lot of respect for Justin. He's a really nice guy.
He's an amazing guy, and another shining example of what our community is all about. And we'll bring up Prashant's comment. He always wanted to be a pen tester, but BIC rejected his application. Just bring that up.
I wouldn't be shocked for Prashant.
Prashant, you're next.
Prashant, yeah.
Oh, no,
yeah, he's next.
It's next, then Prashant. And next question then from Kyle in cyber. If you could give a piece of advice to someone thinking about studying cybersecurity, but they don't think they're capable enough, what would you tell them? Good question.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. What I would tell them is it's not as complicated as people make it out to be. It's all about processes and learning step by steps. Learn the foundation, learn this. You're learning every day. There's no expert in cybersecurity. It's all a lie. People say they're the best at this, best at that. It's to feed their ego. So we can say, okay, I'm going to do a phishing campaign and I'm going to use the red team to try and get it through your network and your server. They can say it really, really harshly like that, or they can say, okay, we're going to sneak in some people through the doors of your castle. So you can simplify things, and you can make things harder and sound more pretentious than they are.
There's a lot of that. I mean, I worked in financial services for 20 odd years, and it's very similar, where it's such especially in the investment world, when you're talking about time weighted returns and it can get really complicated. But the skill in having that job is being able to sit in front of a plumber or a baker or someone who isn't technical and explain it in a way that they do understand. And I think that's one of the biggest areas that we're lacking in the cybersecurity industry. People talk about a skills gap. I mean, there is a skills gap, but it's at the leadership end. And we've got that through people being brought up as technical people. Then they get to the point where they're dealing with management and leadership and the board, and they're struggling to have those conversations. So that, in my mind, from the last couple of years looking in, is where the gap is. The problem at the bottom isn't a gap. It's the businesses not investing in the new starters in the industry. So everyone out there wants someone with 2 years experience who they can wheel in, sit bum on seat and get going. In reality, they're missing out on so much talent from those people who've got the potential, the desire and the drive. Give them, onboard them and give them 6 months worth of training, and you've got a loyal employee for one. And two, probably someone who's more likely to overachieve and succeed for you as a business owner, my opinion.
100%. It's a lack of opportunity for the entry levels, and people not realizing the power of transferring your skills from one job to another job, because there's a lot of transferable skills in cyber, and
There is.
not all jobs are technical in cyber either.
No.
So no,
I mean, the other easy way in for you would be sales, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I love sales. I love people. I don't like. It's not the taking the money. I just like helping people.
You could sell for free.
Yeah, so yeah, make a business and sell it for free. That'll work. Yeah, that'll pay the bills. I'll lose some weight though, wouldn't I?
I think there's a huge gap in the market for people who understand like an inch deep of the industry right across in the sales space, because there's a lot of people in the sales industry in cyber who don't actually know an awful lot, and I think that's causing lots of problems. You're a bit of a unicorn when it comes to having some technical ability and also the ability to communicate and win people over. So I wouldn't discount it, because again, if it was cyber training, not necessarily like a widget that everyone else has got and trying to stack on, but there are certain roles, I think, relationship management roles, that you could walk into really easily that would give you probably a pretty decent income and a job that you might enjoy. Just throwing ideas at you, Joe, by the way.
I appreciate any advice. That's what I love about the infosec.live community, though. Getting different perspectives. I mean, it's not a bunch of English guys. We've got like people all over the world that think a bit differently. They've had this experience, had that experience, and that helps me a lot, because I can ask them their perspectives. I can hear them. Oh, this is what's happening here. That's a really good idea. Let's use that idea over here. And that's what's great about like the infosec community by itself, just because everyone's working together for an end goal.
I completely agree. And to focus on the name of this show, which is My Cyber Pathway, I think one of the biggest misconceptions out there, and a lot of this is down to the boot camps that sell these courses for $6,000 and tell you can be an expert, is that this is your path to cybersecurity. No, it isn't. There isn't a path, I don't think, for a job in cybersecurity. You make your own path. And the way you do that is by meeting, speaking, listening to, and learning from others who've been through the same situation. Some bits resonate, some bits don't. And as you rightly said, you then start to pull those bits together and work out your own pathway.
100%. Like everyone's got to have a different path, a different journey. Again, look at me, like no GCSEs, dyslexic, no money, broke, nothing. And I'm actually making something for myself because I'm trying. And I'm not alone in that. I see people trying every day on the infosec and on LinkedIn. That's why I always encourage people, because I've been there, and you are gonna make it. Like if you just don't doubt yourself, if you carry on, you're gonna make it 100%.
And as cheesy as it sounds, but it's people who give up who don't make it.
Yeah.
And it's people who face the adversity and think, do you know what, I can't do it. And I think for me, that's what the community is all about, is having people within there that you can bounce off, and people like you who'll pick you up on days where you're having a crap time, because that's what is so needed, I think, in any industry and in life in general, is having that support network around you. And whilst the internet's an amazing thing, social media has made us go from living in small social groups to these massive social groups that clearly don't work. You know, it's causing mental health issues in teenagers, obsessed with their phones, obsessed with image, obsessed with all sorts of things. And I think the more we can break it down and have smaller communities that focus on certain areas, that then starts to bring back that societal what's the word, equilibrium, I suppose,
yeah,
where
100%.
where you've got the right amount of people not judging and not thinking about how they're going to show off or come out with next.
Couldn't agree more.
We've gone 12 minutes over. We allotted half an hour for this. Anything you want to add before we wrap up, Joe?
Yeah, just like, comment, and subscribe. Find me on LinkedIn or infosec.live, and like, if you ever need to chat, just reach out. I'll chat with you. I'll help you. No problem.
You're such an amazing man. I'm just going to get your LinkedIn profile up and drop it in the chat. And I'm interested in catching up with you one-on-one when we can. I want to hear more about the stuff that you're doing. And I want to see more about how we can get you involved with the community as well, Joe. I know you're building out. Do you want to mention the course that you're building out at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm building a Python course where you can know nothing about Python and then eventually build like a port scanner. So bringing in like a security aspect within the Python language. My first time ever doing it. I've spent, I'm not gonna say how long I spent writing it, but a fair amount of time. And just a tool to help people, because Python's a powerful language and it'd be useful if you know something about it at least. So that's what I'm doing for the community. My way of helping out, because I've got so much from this community, so I want to give back. And I think if more people do that, wow, cool.
Yeah. Imagine how powerful it would be if more people did that. And that's an encouragement call for people to help out there for the community. So if you're not a member already, actually, let's just bring this up from Bettina Marquez before we wrap up. Joe, I love your grit, humility, empathy, and passion to help. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I don't even know you, but feel so proud of and encouraged by you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There we go. But that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, right? Joe, it's been absolutely amazing. I think I've got another QR code I can bring up here. Here we are. Check this out. So it's going to flash up saying people have scanned it. Don't do that. So if you're not a member of the infosec.live community, links join there. Everything's absolutely free. As Joe said, it's a global community full of people trying to help each other, from CISOs down to those trying to break in. Be amazing to see you there. Joe Wells, this has been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to try and find where the button is for the outro video now to play things out.
Someone scanned it.
And I look forward to catching up with you one-on-one. Do you want to hold on in the studio for a sec?
Yeah.
And we'll catch up. Everyone, thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend. See you soon.